We are a river city, a bold city, the First Coast, a place to create and to belong. Here, the sun shines a little brighter, and so do the people. We share a love for our region, a pride for Jacks, and a passion for the beautiful game, dedicated to giving everyone a sporting chance. Together, we will elevate soccer and sport in our community by lifting every voice. We are Sporting Club Jacksonville. We are Sporting Jacks.
And welcome into the Sporting Jacks Report. Along with Mauricio Ruiz, I'm Cole Pepper. Coming up, we take a closer look at one of the best teams in the West, and we have the highlights from this week's USL Super League matchups, plus a closer look at the top high school boys soccer prospects in our area. But let's start with the new boss for the U.S. men's national team. Seems like forever ago that the story broke that Mauricio Pochettino had been selected to take over as the head coach for the U.S. Now, it's official. Pochettino was introduced at a press conference last week, and he'll be on the sidelines for the U.S. starting next month when they reconvene for some international friendlies against Panama and Mexico in October. He'll also be taking a close look at the players who will form the core of the team and will play in the World Cup on home soil in 2026.
If not every single player that is around the world, we are going to try to pay attention, and all from now they have the door open. It's only about to perform and try to show that they are capable to join the national team. I think that is one of our first, idea that we want to translate to our player. They need to understand that if they perform, we are going to be there watching. We want to play nice football, good football, exciting football, attacking football. And then, of course, if we want to have the possession, because we are a coaching staff also, the philosophy is to have the ball, we need to run, because we need to move, we need to give option, good angles, to your teammate. But and then also the opponent is going to play, and the opponent want the best, want the ball. But when we don't have the ball, we need to run, we need to be aggressive, we need to be competitive. And all of that we need to, I think, to translate, to create this platform that when they come, the player arrive to the national team, they need to know exactly what we need to do, how we need to compete, how we need to behave like a team, and the potential is there, the talent is there. It's only to create the best platform for them to express themselves.
All right, Mauricio, what can we expect from the other Mauricio Pochettino, especially here in the coming months?
Well, it's great to see that he's got a clear vision for it. And I think a lot of the players are going to respect the fact he's got a clear vision of what he wants to do on the ball and off the ball. As far as what he needs to do in the next month before the Panama game coming up on October 12th, I believe, is get his coaching staff and his technical staff on point, because he's going to need to scout the world. He's going to need to go out there and see where are the players that are currently within that kind of with the squad, and where are the new discovery players that maybe need to get a chance. He talked about the door being open, and maybe some young players that are currently playing in MLS, locally, domestically, in the USL. There's so many good players that are playing domestically. You got 2 years to kind of get them up to speed, and look into the future even. He has a role in that as well.
Interesting to see how it will all play out with a new man in charge of what's happening with the U.S. men's national team. Time now for our Island Wing Company USL Championship Game of the Week. And this week, it's a team that's been quietly starting to put things together to make a playoff run. Loudoun United's defense has been getting the job done of late. It's been more than a month since they allowed more than one goal in a match. This week, they faced a team ahead of them in the standings, Birmingham Legion. To suburban D.C. we go. Coming into the match, Birmingham was in the 6th spot in the East, Loudoun on the outside of the playoff zone in 10th. 15 minutes, watch this from Alex Crognell from about 60 yards out. That is unbelievable. Birmingham, with a bolt from the blue, leads 1-0.
Cool. This is the kind of thing that you do 1,000 times at the end of training, just have a little bit of fun, and you really never hit it as solid as that. Just look at the ball from Alex. Caught the keeper off guard. On the other side of the half, what a beautiful strike. Neither Alex nor the goalkeeper will forever forget this.
I think you're right. That was all the scoring in the first half, but the second half, a different story. 56th minute, Loudoun on the attack. They try to chip the keeper. It falls to Zach Ryan. And watch his patience here as he sets up Isaiah Johnston, and we're level at 1.
Yeah, and what a great ball over the top. Keeper kind of gets caught into the no man's land zone. And after there's a bit of combative error, poor clearance, Zach Ryan, as you mentioned, patience, lays it up, and Johnson gets a really nice finish here with a lot of traffic in front of you, mind you.
Well done there. And so 7 minutes later, Birmingham would reclaim the lead. Enzo Martinez, beautiful ball here to Diba Nwegbo, who never gives up on it. He gets it through the Loudoun defense. Birmingham back on top 2-1.
Yeah, and Enzo Martinez doing what Enzo Martinez does. Always setting up his teammates, putting in positions to succeed. Once again, a bit of like a poor clearance. See Enzo Martinez there again. Just a poor clearance from Loudoun United and giving Diba an opportunity to get his goal in.
6 minutes later, Loudoun is at it again. Another long ball from the halfway line. Giannis Learman to Zach Ryan, and Ryan scores to make it 2-2.
Yeah, we keep hearing Zach Ryan's name throughout the entire game here. He had a lot to do still. Goalkeeper stood up nice and tall, but nice finish to put it in the corner.
78th minute. This is not a replay. Loudon going long again. Tommy Williamson gets on the end of it, and for the first time all game, Loudon has the lead at 3-2.
Yeah, some good long ball behind the back line game here. We saw both teams using that. A bit of a knockdown, maybe Ryan, maybe the defender, but Williamson puts it away.
And for good measure, in the 90th minute, Cristiano Francois sets a Florian Velo. Beautifully done there on the diving header. 4-2 the final. Loudon jump into the playoff zone with the win. What a gutsy performance from Loudon United.
Yeah, Loudoun United, as you mentioned, one of those teams that are just kind of keep fighting. They have some really good results, and I mean, just what a beautiful finish. It's kind of one of those fun finishes. It could only be better if it was raining on a rainy day, so you can actually slide through that finish.
All right, let's take a look at some of the scores from around the USL Championship. Indy 11 with a big win. They needed that one for sure. You also notice a 3-0 victory for Memphis against a previously red-hot attack for North Carolina.
Yeah, Memphis continues to be a team that should be contending for the top 4 position, but Colorado Switchbacks against Charleston Battery, it's a really good result for Colorado Switchbacks, and we're going to sit in the standings here. They're fighting for one of those 2 top positions out west.
All right, let's look at those Western Conference standings first. And you see New Mexico United still on top. Colorado Springs is now drawn even with Sacramento. There is a couple of games in hand for Sacramento, but Colorado Springs getting it done there. And then at the bottom, look at that. You've got 3 teams on 31 points. One of those 3 right now, Orange County, is in the playoff zone. Top 8 will make the postseason.
Man, there's a lot of parity with the top 4, 5, and also with that kind of middle to the pack to the 6th to the 10th, as you mentioned there. A lot can still happen. You got about 8 to 9 games left, depending on the team. That red line is probably going to be more exciting than even the top of the rankings here.
And looking in the East, you've got 2 teams who have already clinched playoff spots in Louisville City and Charleston Battery. Both of those teams are in. Lou City really with a great position right now, a 6-point edge on Charleston, and they also have 2 games in hand. But again, look down closer to that red line. You've got 38, 37, 37, 35, 34, 33 points. It is going to be a dogfight here to close out the year.
Well, we talked about last week, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. They were in the playoff. Now they're out of the playoff. Rhode Island coming off of 2 straight defeats, a team that doesn't lose a whole lot of games. They were in a good roll here, at one point even up to 5. I think we're going to keep seeing it back and forth throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, the only team in the East who has been eliminated from playoff contention, Miami FC, at the bottom. Time now for Mauricio's Corner. And today, Mal, you're looking at one of the most consistent clubs in the USL Championship over time. That's the Sacramento Republic, who once again are near the top of the table.
Yeah, once again, consistency is their name. Coach Mark Briggs, see from last year, really the past 3-4 years, you can see them and Louisville as 2 of the most consistent teams. In the way they go about it, they're solid defensively, but as we're going to see here on video, when they get forward, they add numbers, they create chances off of crosses and second chance opportunities.
Let's take a look at what you're talking about here with Sacramento Republic. Here wearing the red jersey.
Yeah, really solid defensively. We're going to call this the net. They really kind of try to trap you on this side of the field as much as possible. Try to force you into an error. This is center back stepping into the play, and look at the numbers in red when they do get forward. They just add numbers into it, and if it's going to freeze here, they got 6 players within a matter of seconds. Now they create options. They spread out the defense, create these little gaps in between, and they just keep relentlessly getting forward and creating chances.
One of the reasons why they've been so successful, they certainly play a very united approach.
100%. So even from the back line here, they regain possession. When they break into the middle and they can have players looking and facing forwards, the cavalry's coming out. They get forward, they get early crosses into the box. Even when they don't get chances, these defenders are having to turn back towards their own goal and race and run back.
And this is taking on a Phoenix team that won the championship last year. Haven't had the same year here, but this is a great rivalry and a great opportunity to show what Sacramento can do.
Absolutely. Once again, the theme here is numbers in the box. 2 players on the back post. Defender gets caught. Who do I defend? They got on top of the box. They got behind me. Ultimately, a bad choice anyways, and that's how Sacramento gets their goals.
And Sacramento's won 3 of their last 5 contests. That's sort of been the way they've gone this year. And getting the opportunities for sure. They are plus 14 in goal differential this season.
Yeah, and it's not hard to see how they're going about it. They don't score a lot of goals, but they convert their chances better than most because they know that if one of their players is facing forward with the opportunity to get the ball into the box, everyone else supporting players cannot crash the box. You saw there on the last goal, 2 headers in the same game, numbers in the box. That's how they play. That's how they get in their wins.
One of the reasons why they're always right there at the end of the season in the postseason. Hey, we want to invite you to join us on October 6th before the Jaguars face the Colts for a youth soccer clinic in the Flex Field. Kids age 4 to 13 can get coaching from JU soccer players and coaches from 10:30 to noon. And then they can watch the Jaguars take on the Colts. This is also the game where Tom Coughlin will be inducted into the Pride of the Jaguars. And it's the throwback uniform game as well. Entry fees start at $59 and include a ticket to the game. There's also a deal for companions. For more information, go to the events tab on sportingjacks.com. And remember, you can become a member of Sporting Jacks. It's absolutely free. Just go to sportingjacks.com to sign up. You'll get discounts on club merchandise, invitations to VIP events, entries into contests for prizes and experiences, and receive the Sporting Jacks newsletter. You can also put your deposit down for season tickets for the Sporting Jacks men's and women's teams and receive your exclusive Sporting Jacks founding member pin. Just go to sportingjacks.com to become a member. Coming up, we hear from Becky Burleigh. Get her thoughts on what she's seen from the USL Super League and the impact that Emma Hayes is having on U.S. soccer in the big picture. That's straight ahead as the Sporting Jacks report rolls on. The USL national broadcast schedule continues on Sunday as Detroit City hosts Louisville at 3 p.m. on ESPN2. Then on September 29th, it's a primetime matchup between the aforementioned Sacramento Republic and New Mexico United. That game also on ESPN2. And of course, all USL Super League games are streamed on Peacock. Time now for the USL Super League highlights. We start in Dallas, where a league record was set as the Trinity hosted Lexington SC. Lexington with an early 1-0 lead, but the floodgates open. Allie Thornton gets the goal. Scoring started there. Then Sam Meza sets up Amber Brooks just before halftime. Chioma Ubagagu would make it 3-2 on the tap in. Then she did it again. This goal made it 4-2. Rocket off the left foot. Then in the 78th minute, Allie Thornton on the run, puts it away. It's 5-2. Then in the dying moments, Thornton again. In stoppage time, 2 players for Dallas with braces. And this would be goal number 6 in the game, the most goals scored by a team in the USL Super League, and 8 total goals, also a league record. 6-2 the final. Dallas wins in the Cotton Bowl. Tampa Bay hosting Brooklyn FC, 23rd minute. Hope Breslin sets up Isabel Cox. It's the only goal of the match. Brooklyn wins on the road, 1-0. The other Florida team, Fort Lauderdale United, was in the nation's capital to face DC Power. DC already up 1-0 when, Lauderdale up 1-0 when Shada Hamid goes upstairs, the younger sister of the former U.S. goalkeeper Bill Hamid. Fort Lauderdale wins it 2-0 on the road. And now we'll look at the USL Super League standings. You see Carolina Ascent on top with 10 points through 4 matches played. But to Dallas Trinity, Tampa Bay Sun, Fort Lauderdale, Brooklyn, all in striking distance. Brooklyn only 2 games in the season so far. It is a young season, but we'll see how it all plays out in the inaugural year. We now welcome in Becky Burleigh. Becky, a little more than a month into the USL Super League schedule, as we mentioned. Bunch of goals in Dallas, everything else going on around the league. What's really jumping out to you right now?
Well, it's crazy to think that we're already in week 5, and I know some teams haven't played that many games, but man, it's really starting to show some of these players that are emerging. You know, one of the players who I thought of this past week that's really outstanding is Meza from Dallas, and you're seeing her impact already. I mean, scoring 6 goals against anybody, doesn't matter who you're playing. I mean, that's a terrific result for that team.
Yeah, absolutely, Becky. And we're going to talk about U.S. men's national team, but we're actually going to bring U.S. women's national team into this conversation. Coach Emma Hayes seems to have her hand in the pot everywhere. Seems like she had an influence on getting Mauricio Pochettino over the line with their Chelsea connection. What do you think, knowing Emma a little bit, how influential do you think she was in getting Mauricio Pochettino as our new U.S. men's national team coach?
You know, I wonder from a standpoint of being an international coach coming into the U.S. Soccer Federation and her having just done that and kind of being able to translate that experience that she's had so far. What I love about it is just having any connection between the men's and the women's teams, because it really hasn't felt that way. I know we are one, U.S. Soccer, one crest, but it just doesn't feel that way a lot of the time. So to hear the two of them having some type of connection to me makes me really optimistic.
It really goes a long way when you start talking about the importance of relationships. I mean, it's important in business, it's important in sports in general, but when you start talking about such a global sport like soccer, those personal relationships can really make a huge difference.
Absolutely. I mean, particularly when you're taking a leap of faith to do something you haven't done before, and both of them have done that. But to have someone who's done it before you and someone that can give you a little bit of insight, but also someone that you really trust from your experience with them prior. I mean, I think this is how the world works in jobs, particularly in athletics, where who you know is just as important as what you know.
So last week, one of the U.S. women's national team veteran, Megan Rapinoe, mentioned that Coach Emma Hayes has brought confidence back into the squad. Do you see something similar?
I do. I mean, I think Emma exudes confidence in the way that she coaches. And I say that in a way that she just seems so competent in both her relational skills and her performance skills with the team. So no one is really going to question her schemes and systems. Definitely no one's going to question her ability to connect with players. And I think when you combine those two things together, it kind of gives that team and her as a leader a little bit of swag that I think the rest of the world has noticed.
Good stuff, Becky. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds
All right, it's not too early to become a season ticket member of Sporting Jacks. Just go to sportingjacks.com and put your deposit down. $25 reserves your space for the men's or women's team. And if you want to reserve your spot for both, it's $40. Just go to sportingjacks.com to save your seat for pro soccer in Jacksonville. Still to come, our youth soccer spotlight. We take a closer look at the top high school boys prospects in the area. That's coming up as the Sporting Jacks report rolls on. Sporting Jacks will be unveiling the official kit in the months to come, but already you can get your own Sporting Jacks official merchandise, from t-shirts and hats to sweatshirts and, of course, the scarf. You can find Sporting Jacks official merchandise at sportingjacks.com, at our official team store on Phillips Highway, and at We Got Soccer. It is time now for our youth soccer spotlight, brought to you by the Bearded Pig Barbecue. Last week we discussed the best girls prospects in the area. Now we focus on the boys. Here are 3 of the top high school prospects in our area. Let's start at Mandarin, where Omar Turto is a distributor extraordinaire. 18 assists and 9 goals for one of the area's best teams last season.
Omar is a fantastic player. He's been doing it at the club level for Florida Lee, ECNL. He's been one of the better players in the nation, and a great pickup for UNF to keep him here in Jacksonville.
Atlantic Coast defensive midfielder Amar Boyd has not yet committed, but he is a boss in the midfield.
He really is, and he's one of those, you got Omar, you got Amar, see who the next one is. But Amar is a player, he can just cover ground. He can just get up and down the box-to-box midfield that can also create, but as you mentioned, a bit of a bulldog.
Omar, Amar, and Kyle. All right, it doesn't quite flow the same way, but boy, could Kyle flow at St. Joseph's Academy. Kyle Jackson scored 15 goals in 17 games last season. He scored 22 goals in his career as he gets set for his senior season.
Yeah, and Kyle, as you mentioned, St. Joseph, he's playing one of the lower classes, but when he can score goals, you can score goals. And 15 goals in 17 games, that's a pretty good ratio. Can he keep up with that for his senior year? He should have a really good year and get a lot of eyes on him.
And Mauricio, these are just 3 of the top prospects on the boys' side this season. We've raved about the girls' soccer depth in our area, but there's certainly some stars in the making on the boys' side.
There really are, and there's a lot of families, there's a lot of cultural influences, especially to the boys' high school players. There's a lot of talent here. It's just kind of, where does that talent go? If we're able to keep the talent here at UNF, at Flagler, at JU, we're going to be able to see what these players are doing after high school, so we can kind of keep up with them a little bit more. But there's no shortage of talent on the boys' side here.
Who knows, maybe some future Sporting Jack stars in there as well. Hey, be sure to join us every Tuesday night at 6 on 1010XL for the Sporting Jack Soccer Hour. It's on 1010 a.m. You can also listen online or on demand at 1010XL.com. Still to come, we look ahead to the Premier League this weekend. That's next as the Sporting Jacks Report rolls on. You can watch the Sporting Jacks Report Wednesdays at 12:30 on ABC 25 with re-airings over the weekend before the start of the Premier League broadcasts on NBC 12. You can also find us on demand on First Coast News Plus and the Sporting Jacks YouTube channel. Well, speaking of the Premier League, coming up, Saturday's featured game is Crystal Palace hosting Manchester United. Neither one of these teams off to a particularly good start. The last time they met, though, Palace shocked Man U 4-0. So, Mauricio, what are you expecting out of this one?
So Man U got a result. Palace did not. They got a tie away from home. Two teams that are still early stages. A lot of expectations for both, actually. But Man United, if they can get another win, they can actually climb up to the top 5. And if they can stay there, because they started really, really poor. But Crystal's desperate. They're winless right now. And they have a lot of power. They have a lot of players in the attack. If they can keep the ball out of the back of the net, they will contend, because they will be one of those teams that will challenge against anybody, because their talent level with the front three is phenomenal.
So much pressure on Man U every year, of course. And after they won the FA Cup last year, there were some expectations that they could take that next step. Mm-hmm. Do you see it from Man U? Can they jump into that top 4 and make the Champions League?
Absolutely, because one thing that they are now this year, they're a little bit healthier. They started the season a little bit healthier than they were last year and a little bit deeper. However, their depth is coming with players that are joining them a little bit late. So there's a little bit of kind of newness, players kind of finding their position. If Rashford, right, there's a big if, because he's kind of their talisman, he's the whole-time player. If he can get going, like he scored a beautiful goal this past week, and if that can give him some momentum, he keeps getting that starting lineup call. And if he can get 1 or 2 goals in, remember, just 2 years ago, he scored 18 goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, confidence goes so far, particularly for a player playing where he grew up.
That's right.
And trying to make a name for himself. There's no doubt about it. Of course, we'll have Premier League coverage coming up on NBC 12. All right, we can also remind you to stay in touch with what's happening with Sporting Jacks. Follow us on social media, on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on TikTok. It's either Sporting_Jacks or Sporting Jacks. We'll have you updated with everything that's going on with the club moving forward. For Becky Burley and Mauricio Ruiz, I'm Cole Pepper. Thanks so much for watching the Sporting Jacks Report.